Hi guys, it's Jay and welcome back to my channel, and today I'm continuing my read along for Scum Villian Self-Saving System Volume 4, and I'm vaguely intrigued because I don't know, like, these have been weirdly heavy, and I don't know if I was just spoiled with the few that I've read from, I think I've read a few from, Model Zusha. So it's like, I don't know if I'm just spoiled because those weren't nearly as sad or what, or if maybe, let me just grab a pillow, if maybe MXTX was just in a very melancholic mood when she decided to do the extras for Scum Villian, but it feels a lot more somber than um, the ones that I've seen from Modal Zusha and Heaven Official Blessings. So far I've been very surprised. Um, but anyway, I think we can more or less just get going. Well, I mean, sort of. Just a quick heads up if you're new here. Hi, I'm Janae. I do read-alongs for BL/downloading novels, and so far we're busy with Scum Villian Self-Saving System and also Urha, but today is Scum Villian. Yeah, I'm gonna be doing the second one for this week tomorrow because we are leaving for holiday on Friday, so I don't want to be accidentally keeping my parents up on Thursday night if I were to read late into the night as I usually would. So for that reason, we're just going to be doing one today and one tomorrow, and then I am going to be filming, or at least hopefully I'll be able to film two read-alongs for the time while we're away on holiday. And my voice is going, so that is a good start to read along. That is not promising. We'll see how long I can go for. Okay, while we wait for people who maybe want to join still but are yet to get the notifications, let me quickly open this up. I just want to refresh this for a moment. Okay, please also just let me know if the audio is okay. It should be fine, but I mean, you never know. So we left off at the top of page 34 for anyone interested in following along. Hold on, no, did we? Yeah, no, sorry. So we are at the top of page 134 for anyone who wants to follow along with their own copies of the novel. And yeah, hi. Um, but yeah, again, I hope the audio is okay, and we're gonna be doing the 10-minute break on the hour if my voice holds up for the full 2 hours. Otherwise we might have to cut it short to 1 hour. I don't know what's happening with my voice right now. I think I might have been recording too many reactions. Okay, anyway, let's get going. In all those years, they had never learned of Lo Binghe's existence. Furthermore, Sushi Yan didn't succeed to her position of power as expected. Instead, she silently vanished to somewhere unknown. Even long after they'd once more greeted the sun and sky, they still hadn't learned. Therefore, when Zhuge saw that face for the first time at the southern border, he was so shocked that he forgot to complete the business he'd been tasked with. After a bout of fighting, he went straight back and reported it to Tianlanjin. Hence, there had been the battle at the Holy Mausoleum. Oh, okay. After Shen Qingque had been spat out and settled with proper arrangements, Tianlanjin had stared at Zhuge as his nephew single-mindedly fanned burning coals with a cattail leaf fan. Do you think he's like me or like her? Zhejiang knew very well who this he and her referred to. Didn't my lord say it himself? He's like his mother. Tianlanjun shook his head and smiled, the way they pretend to be callous. In truth, both of them knew that Luo Binghe's tendency to be attached to and dependent on others, and his utter lack of reservations in his obstinate infatuation were more like Tianlanjun. That's an interesting observation. Tianlanjun leaned his cheek on one hand as he watched the closed-eyed Shen Jingque and sighed. But he's far more fortunate than I am. The person who Luo Binghe refused to let go of was someone like Shen Jingque. That was indeed a fortunate thing. At least Shen Jingque wouldn't summon the entire cultivation world to seal Luo Binghe beneath Tangchong Mountain. I mean, it's a near thing. There was a moment there where it might have been a 2.0 of your situation. On top of that, there had only ever been two people in this world who hadn't looked at Zhejiang's ugly appearance with disgust. One was Tianlanjun and the other was Shen Jingque. How about it? Asked Tianlanjun. Do you want to seal that fortune for yourself? Zhejiang stared at Tianlanjun for a long time before understanding what he meant. Then he blushed a bright red. My lord! Steal it, said Tianlanjun. We're all demons. Why fuss about something like this? Besides, he's only your younger cousin. What are you afraid of? The last lord of the Morbei clan even openly stole his younger brother's official wife. I don't have any such wishes. Okay, if you say so. Tianlanjun was confused. Then why is your face red? Zhejiang patiently bore with him. My lord, if you hadn't asked me to find all those books, or told me to read them with you, or recited them out loud to force me to review them, this subordinate's face definitely wouldn't have turned red. Okay. Because of this exchange, some strange things echoed in his ears from time to time, which made him unable to look at immortal Master Shen with a clear conscience. Zhejiang understood why Tianlanjun habitually teased him this way. Beneath all the ribbing was a desire to probe and provoke. From the day he emerged from beneath Bailuo Mountain to the sun and sky, Tianlanjun hadn't planned to use his new body for long, nor had he had any plans regarding the future. But when he saw Shen Jingque, Tianlanjun had actually felt a kind of relief. He thought, finally, someone to whom I can entrust my foolish nephew. That's actually really sad. But I was for a moment a bit confused because obviously, with Shenji, with the previous extra, we had it where it was according to the original timeline, and this time now it seems we're back in like Scum Villian Self-Saving System's timeline and not what's the other one? Demon Way, whatever it's called. I can't remember the full title. Okay. Zhilang's stupid brain could only revolve around other people. He never thought of himself. If he could find a new person to follow, then even after Tianlanjun got himself killed, he wouldn't end up lost with nowhere to go. Tianlanjun thought that Chen Jingque wasn't a bad target to follow, regardless of what kind of follow it was. Having achieved this mysterious peace of mind, Tianlanjun became increasingly reckless with throwing about his demonic energy, and his body's deterioration and decline hastened day by day, to the point that his arm or fingers often fell off. It's just giving zombie vibes and I can't deal. Zhijiang was overwhelmed to the point of exhaustion trying to find means by which to repair him. One time he was trying to use a needle and thread to mend his lord's limbs. Tianlanjin had held out his arm for Zhuge to prick however he wished and said, "Your instincts have always been very accurate." Zhuge gave a confirmation. "Between me and Lo Binghe, who will win and who will lose?" After a long silence, he said languidly, "Even if you don't say it, I know. I'm plainly going to lose." Zhuge bit off the thread and tied a knot. "After today, how about you follow Peak Lord Shin?" Tiananjin asked, sincere yet not. "He's already taking care of loving her. Taking care of you as well shouldn't be too different." "My lord should sleep," said Zhuge. But Tiananjin continued to talk nonsense. "Aren't you heading to Immortal Master Shin's tent tonight to help him remove the ties that bind?" You were listening when I asked if he and Lobingher had dual cultivated before." His reaction made it obvious that they hadn't. "The early bird catches the worm. Do you understand what I'm saying?" I love that we're kind of getting the behind the scenes of what led to that original encounter. Zhuge acted like he couldn't hear and bowed down to remove Tianlanjin's shoes. But then Zhuge hands went empty. Tianlanjin had crooked his legs so his shoes were firmly upon the beast's skin cover. "What must I do to crush your self-esteem?" he asked in all seriousness. "To make you lose heart and give up on me, so that you'll leave?" "My lord has read too many scripts and plays," said Zhuge. "That trope is old hat. You could never crush the subordinate self-esteem. That's why my lord should sleep." Oh my word. What just happened? I swear I just heard my dog whine, but my parents are there, so I don't get why she would. Um, Sorry, where was I? Oh, "I don't want to go to sleep so early. Quickly, go to Peak Lord Chen's tent. I'll come to see you two after a bit." "My lord, you're so willful," Zhuge said helplessly. Pestering others endlessly, full of wild fantasies, forever coming up with these stupid suggestions. "Haven't I been so willful this whole time?" asked Tianlangjin. "So how about it? Why not consider leaving me?" "Right." His lord was acting like a drunk today. The number of things he said that left people unable to laugh or cry had multiplied by 10. Zhuge shook his head and reached out several more times before he finally caught hold of Xianlanjun's shoes. He yanked them off by force and repeated, "My lord should sleep." "You better not yank with too much force, otherwise his feet might come off." Tiananjin was pushed onto the bed and forcefully covered with a blanket. "You're becoming more and more like a mother," he said. Then he sighed. "Do you think your uncle is only poking fun at you? You don't urge me to stop, nor do you seek a way out for yourself. If you're always like this, Zhujilang, what are you going to do in the future?" "As expected, I can't bring myself to hate humans." Okay, so this is a time skip, and I kind of hate it because this bit made me cry originally, I'm pretty sure. "As expected, I can't bring myself to hate humans." Tianlang Junat said it to Shen Qingqie. When Zhujilang heard these words, he was actually a little happy for his lord. Tianlanjun had finally admitted that his true heart had never changed. Finally, he would no longer need to force himself. Amidst the rolling dust and falling rubble, Tianlanjun sighed and muttered, "Zhujilang, that appearance of yours truly doesn't look good." This time, Zhujilang had no need to complain. Its only thought was that it still had a tiny bit of strength left, enough to hold on for a little longer. Frick. These are the extras. I'm not supposed to be crying in the extras. I'm only supposed to be happy. Damn. Okay. So that its lord wouldn't die with it. There was no need for him to worry that dying alongside it would be unsightly. As Michael Ridge transformed into smoke and dust with a thunderous roar, an enormous snake plummeted down. Sorry, let's try this again. An enormous snake plummeted down towards the heart of the Lower River, which glinted like silver scales. In truth, Shinjinjia hadn't finished listening to what Tianlanjin had been saying, for after that first sentence there had been another, quiet, heard only by Jilang. Tianlanjin had said, "But why is loving a person such a difficult thing?" At the time, Jilang had been unable to squeeze out a smile. Nor had it been able to speak. As if lost in thought, it had flickered out its tongue, sprayed Tiananjin with a face full of snake saliva. It truly is difficult, it thought, but no matter how difficult, it's less difficult than making one's heart stop loving. Okay, I need like a break. We're barely into it and I already need a break. Oh, that was rough. SVSSS extras or something else, yeah. My brain is hurting. Oh goodness, okay. Okay, let's hope that this one doesn't also make me cry. Chapter 26, Airplane's Fortuitous Encounter. Airplane Shooting Towards the Sky was an author of stallion novels, a somewhat well-known author of stallion novels, an author of stallion novels who, even on a site like Zhongdian literature, where great gods ran all over the place and lesser gods sprouted up like grass on prime soil, was mentioned with some frequency. That extreme speed and perseverance as he updated 10,000 words a day, every day, for 3 years straight. I wish that could be me. I wish that could be me. My novel is struggling to come into existence. Um, sorry. Those periodic bursts of releases of 8 whole chapters, a daring so bold that it could engulf the whole country, to the authors following the same road up from the streets where they had openly prostrated themselves, he was a legend. But he was a legend only to be glimpsed, not obtained, a myth one could search for endlessly, but only meet by chance. Those harem plotlines whose integrity had been fed to the dogs, as well as those storylines whose intellectual depth had also been fed to the dogs. They were the defining characteristics of his style, and they were enthusiastically discussed by his thousands of readers. The most common assessment of his work was a popcorn novel. It's indisputably a popcorn novel, but what a satisfying read. That's right. Airplane Shooting Towards the Sky's newest masterpiece, Proud Immortal Demon Way, there we go, that was the chapter title I couldn't think of before, was the was the perfect example of a novel that many hated, but even with many haters, but even more fans. It was the sort of work everyone called a popular novel with a terrible reputation. Those who liked it loved it, while those who hated it could have stomped it into dog feces and spit on it multiple times without satisfying their hatred. The sort of controversial work was, inevitably, a prime breeding ground for a fan on hater fights. For example, At this very moment, while Airplane Shooting Towards the Sky was mindlessly hammering out the day's new updates, he opened a certain famous web novel forum where he intended to spout some nonsense to gain site XPs. He briefly scanned the page, and the first glance made him shudder. His gaze had landed on a trending post that bobbed fiercely up and down on the home page. It had an extremely aggressive subject line, which included both his pen name and the title of his book. Are we gonna get to see one of Shen Yun's roasts? Like, I kind of want to see that. This was not the first time Airplane Shooting Towards the Sky had stumbled onto the scene of a fight. As always, he didn't hesitate to jump into the fray, and he gleefully clicked the link. Sure enough, it was a familiar recipe with a familiar taste. But also, where is this courage when he's like supposed to be jumping into the fray and within the like fights of his novel? 10 years of reading sharpens one's sword. OP. After reading novels online for close to 10 years, I've never read a cultivation novel crappier than Proud Immortal Demon Way. Wait, the MC just spends all day eating, sleeping, and collecting girls, and you have the gall to tell me that this is a cultivation novel? Screw the logic, screw the writing, and screw the author's integrity. I bought these emojis last year. People who like this novel, come in here and tell me what part of it did you even enjoy? What sort of mindset do you need to read it? How much do you have to hate someone to recommend this novel? I really can't take it. I'm done. Your infatuated pupil. Oh my word, okay. I've wanted to roast it for a long time. Is there even any meaning to the levels system? There is no difference between being a core formation or a nasal soul. Nascent, sorry, nasal. Oops, it's just me and the English language getting along swimmingly. Or even just being an ordinary person. But it's just padding and fluff. Every time I see another paragraph about eating or sleeping, I can't bear to continue. And one or two big moments of revenge is alright, but if you throw in 1,000 revenge fantasy episodes, they lose all meaning. In short, it's simply not as satisfying as they say. There's a bit of a pyramid scheme feeling to the whole thing. Oh goodness. But the novel's fans are both swift and fierce. I'm guessing they're going to come gang up on you soon. Best of luck, OP. I'll give you a saucepan lid to shield yourself. I'm out. Swordmans must say, the writing is bad, all the readers are idiots. Who are you calling an idiot up there? What a loser. Do you guys want me to read out all the names? I guess it's probably better because otherwise we're going to lose context. Your sins cannot be forgiven. Who are you calling an idiot up there? What a loser. Overtaken by longing, mistaking red for green. Before I opened this post, I knew it would go in this direction. Every time people discuss this novel, they start arguing. I've never seen a single exception. Pulling up a chair to watch the fun. Oh no, someone's just out here eating melon seeds. 6. Your sins cannot be forgiven. I'm sick of arguing every time. What's there to argue about? Just because you don't like it doesn't mean other people won't like it. It's really very simple. If you like it, then read it. If not, then get lost. Write your own story if you can. You up. I know that's like an expression, but I can't remember the context of it. You understand? OP started spewing BS before they even finished reading. What's the point of spewing BS for the sake of spewing? Okay, but to be fair, apparently it's over 1,000,000 words, so like I feel as if at some point you should be given a little bit of leeway. Everyone gather around. Here's an elementary schooler in the flesh. Oh, wait, sorry. This is 7, 10 years of reading sharpens one's sword. Everyone gather around. Here's an elementary schooler in the flesh. We've even gotten a you can, you up. I'm laughing at this kid. Keep reading for a few more years. It's really wise to waste your. It's Is it really wise to waste your time on forums outside of breaks? Watch out. If you can't finish your homework, your teacher's going to tell your parents. Just because you like it doesn't mean other people will like it. See, I'm quoting your own words back at you. Also, I don't need to finish eating a pile of garbage before I realize it's a pile of garbage, okay? Xiahua Ling's little bell. I don't think it's bad as OP claims. I like reading this novel. I like Sha Meizi, and then just a lot of laughing emojis. But also like you only like her because you don't have to deal with her. I feel like Shin Jing would tell you a thing or two about it not being as fun when you're actually the one experiencing it. Peerless Cucumber. Excerpt. Okay, are we ready? I understand what OP is feeling. I've been reading this novel lately and it's so damn long. Long and plumb full of filler. I've never seen villains with a lower IQ than the ones in this book. They're a prime example of cannon fodder with an IQ of 40 and a protagonist with an IQ of 60. It's like the author went on a 24-hour revenge orgasm without once going soft. Oh my word, why did I have to read that? Most of the female protagonists are stupid, sexy lamps, and the male lead doesn't even bed Liu Mingyan, the only breath of fresh air. He doesn't bed the rightful empress. Are you kidding me? All my fellow readers have already roasted the setting for the last 300,000 words, so I won't say more on that. The most interesting things in Proud Immortal Demon Way are actually the monsters of the demon realm. It'd be better if those got more focus. The rest is just taking in all 50 girls from a given clan in one go, and not a single distinct personality in the lot. And the writing is incomparably atrocious. Every time a woman appears, it's all soft bosoms trembling. I would die. I would not be able to read that. Oh my goodness. Trembling my ass. You could at least try a different phrase. Even a different word would be fine, you know? Serious question. Who taught Airplane this elementary school level writing? At least the portrayal of the male lead was alright. The transformation from innocent and upstanding to hateful and sinister was detailed and natural. Debts of kindness and grudges were both repaid, and those who should have been killed were mercilessly cut down. Every time I see a useless male lead, I just want to slap him in the face. Bingo deserves that G. He's cool enough and darkened enough. I like him. Of course you would. Changing chair, though, that bastard needed no explanation. Oh goodness, that's hilarious. 10. Tangchung Mountain stair cleaning manager, whispering silently floating by. Does anyone here like sect leader? Yeah. I like the gentle top type the most. A person after my own heart. Warrior 11, Warrior's Hammer. Boring. It's not as well written as Immortal XX Battle. The difference is huge. That one's a real cultivation novel. The world building is rigorous. Sorry, not rigorous. No, rigorous, sorry. And the plotline is grand. The author put a lot of thought into it and was very serious with the writing. Do you guys have any idea what the Immortal XX Battle one could be referring to? Because I wouldn't put it past MXTX to throw a little reference in there where if you know, you know. Your sin cannot be forgiven. Up thread on one while praising, um, hmm, crapping on one while praising the other feels good, doesn't it? 13. Refusing to be a plot holder. That sounds so weird to say. Cucumber Bro up there wrote how many words just to hate on it? Must be true love. The shade. 10 years of reading sharpens one's sword. To answer 12, which is your sins cannot be forgiven, still at it, I'll turn your own words on you. Aren't there also a ton of proud immortal fans who leap at the chance to crap on other novels? Do you want me to flip through the receipts for some screenshots to fling in your face? Tong, Tong Chung Mountain Gate Guard Platoon. Oh my word. Okay, so the fans are ascending. To answer 10, whispering silently passing by, does anyone here like sect leader here? I like the gentle top type the most. Okay, so that was what he's answering to. Grabbing the sister up there, you're a sister, right? I like Jiangmen Shishong too. I like him a lot. Is there anything more than pampering and indulging, etc., with no bottom line? It is a pity the target was such a disastrous shidi. The bad end was so complete, I couldn't even sell people on the ship. Aww. Shen Qingque in the real world, something for loathing her, not something for sexy female harem. Mm, yeah, no, like, he really should have known from the get go, but apparently he needed a little bit of an awakening first. 16. Chingo's blood brother. That bastard Shen Qingque needed no explanation plus 10,086. My goodness, to think 15 can feel more over anything involving that scum. Just thinking about him makes me want to throw up. He killed my fave, unforgivable. I always felt it was such a waste that the Baijang Peak Lord died so early. Great Master Airplane just refused to write him, or else there would be more ships to choose from. Occasionally filling holes. There sure is a lot of info in the last few posts. Did the forum get invaded by weirdos? Peerless Cucumber exit. Upthread keep cool. The forum has a lot of green Gigi sisters. Mm-hmm. A stately waiter. Of course, it's true love for Cucumber Bro, but the stuff he spews here isn't as vicious as what he puts in the comments. Not malicious enough. Thumbs down. Hoeing wheat is my noontime occupation. What kind of name is that? Oh my word. The proud immortal fans are here to argue again. I see this novel everywhere. The novel's quality doesn't live up to its popularity. No way Airplane didn't pay for shills. Sitting back and waiting for the next time the firm data guru makes a post. Their analysis will show whether he spam voted. Ooh. Okay, hold on. There was a reference that I missed somewhere. Okay, we'll just have to skip it because I. Oh wait. So the hoeing wheat is my noontime occupation is a reference to a line in a poem by Tang poet Li Xin. One of the pair of poems written to depict agricultural life in the feudal era. This line is used to make dirty jokes because sun, noontime sun, is also used as sleeping with, though this particular username is an indirect allusion. Okay, that is a lot of detail to be put into a username. 21. Hoeing wheat is my noontime occupation. To answer 4, who are you calling an idiot up there? What a loser. What a joke. The school kids who like to read Nonsense books like Proud Immortal have the nerve to call people losers. No one's a bigger loser than you. Chinga's blood brother. To start firing into the crowd because of one or two people, you must be drunk. The way to is causing trouble. Is that just the OP's alt? Airplane getting a lot of upvotes because he's got no bottom line when begging for chicks, for clicks, not chicks. Oh my word. Um, he'd even grovel naked on the ground, and not to pass judgment on anything else, but look at Airplane's update rate. He posts 10k every day and 25k bursts on the weekends. How many people can do that? Put the question of quality aside for now. Looking for friends at the North Pole every day. I wrote some bingo exclamation slash. Don't know if anyone wants to see. Signing up for a rare pair is like going to the North Pole. So painful. Looking for ships in a Zhongdian novel is also seeking death. The self-awareness, we gotta give credit to the self-awareness though. Tangchung Mountains stair cleaning manager slash writing sister, don't go. Does it have smutty content? Please, sob sob sob. Oh no. Airplane really doesn't know how to write romance plot lines. It'd be better if he just didn't. I feel like Lobing Herd doesn't have feelings for a single one of his wives. He just wants to use them, and I can't see how any of these women have really fallen in love with him. I mean, fair. Warrior's Hammer. As long as he collects all of the girls, it's fine. Who cares if there's romance or not? Peerless Cucumber excerpt. Filling holes, bro. You're joking. You want Airplane not to write the harem? 4/5 of the book would be gone. I feel like it would be better for it, if I'm being honest. AO3 got all these ships covered. Yeah, no. I've seen some truly heinous ships on AO3, if I'm being honest, but to each their own, I suppose. Okay. Overtaken by longing, mistaken red for green. But I feel like I can see which peak lord has really fallen in love with which other peak lord. Delusional. But speaking seriously, the same-sex interactions he wrote between brothers and comrades were all much more detailed and natural than Bingo's scenes with his wives. The deep emotion was practically visible to the naked eye. Airplane really is a natural Fudanshi. Oh my word. P.S. To the sister at 24, guess you'll eat anything when you're starving, huh? Her wheat is my noontime occupation. This post has been hidden due to a personal attack. Currently waiting for the post to edit. With his legs propped up, Great Master Airplane shooting towards the sky stirred his instant noodles as he nonchalantly rolled the scroll wheel on his mouse, skimming over the forum posts, his eyes automatically highlighting that familiar ID, Peerless Cucumber. Vicious sniping that flowed like a running stream, a cucumber forged of iron. Even though this famous Lord Cucumber spewed criticism constantly and without end in Great Master Airplane's comment section, his subscription payments and demands for updates never waned. Because of this, Great Master Airplane had come to suspect that this person was a masochist. Oh my word, why is that so funny? Very good, you have successfully attracted my attention. Like some sort of domineering billionaire CEO, Great Master Airplane began to coolly review Cucumber Bros howling in the comment section. In the end, he concluded, this guy was just like a woman married to a disappointing husband. She itched to jump on his back to grab and shake him by the neck, filled with love and hate as she simultaneously kissed and spat on him. Peerless Cucumber was locked in precisely this kind of conundrum, unable to extricate himself from following this novel while he cursed. Why can't I control this damn hand that just keeps clicking on the read button? Your mouth says no, but your body says yes. As Great Master Airplane delivered his final verdict, he smacked his computer table, howling with laughter. This one smack was disastrous. His instant noodles toppled over, splashing all over his beloved, hard-working, and invaluable keyboard, drenching it in 1,000 kilometers worth of spicy broth. Airplane turned pale with fright, quickly leaping up to rescue it, but he jumped too high and his foot caught on the power strip. With a crack, his laptop screen went dark. Well, at least now we know why he doesn't like Shen Qingqie. Or at least Shen Yun, I should rather say. Oh my word, what bad luck. After this chain reaction, where an extreme joy turned to profound sorrow, Airplane's face went deathly pale. What the hell? He had just been scrolling through the forums while downloading movies and typing away. His files had still been open. He couldn't have lost today's update just like that. He'd gone to 8,000 words. Ugh. He subconsciously threw himself down next to the power strip, picking up the plug to shove it back into the socket, only to experience firsthand what could have been called full body electrocution, like lightning from the ninth heaven. Oh my word. It's a wonder this man didn't die sooner. Because I'm assuming that's what happened is he got electrocuted and that's how he ended up in his own novel. What are you daydreaming about, you moron? Get back to work. Great Master Airplane shooting towards the sky spat out the green foxtail hanging from his lips with a puff. He internally he waved 1,000 middle fingers and yelled 1,000 words beginning with F at the fiendish Anding Peak Shishong. But when he turned around, he wore a flowery smile. He plastered on the expression and flounced up to him, calling, "I'm coming." All you do is slack off, ex Shishong spat. The older than average outer disciple Xiang Qinghua, who currently occupied a 17-year-old body, looked around in all directions as he trailed behind the main team, who were unloading goods from the ship onto the docks. Indeed, Great Master Airplane could now be referred to as Xiang Qinghua. That wretched reprobate from the stallion novel he had written with his own two hands, that treacherous spy who toiled assiduously, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, for Jun all his life, only to be thrown aside by his cold-hearted and unfeeling boss as soon as he lived out his use. That cannon fodder, that logistics guy, that Shang Qinghua. Although at this time he was still an outer disciple who could be pushed around by everyone on Anding Peak, he wasn't yet head disciple and he hadn't changed his name to join the Qing generation. Anding Peak was in itself a very stifling sort of peak. The Peak Lord was like the director of a housekeeping service department, stifling. Even when leading disciples, he was like an unpaid hourly worker, also stifling. The outer disciples didn't even bear mentioning. They were at the very lowest end of the food chain, the most stifling of the stifling. Everyone had huge reservations of pent-up anger. Those with more seniority bullied those with less. That was simply the routine state of things. Shang Qinghua, who would occasionally utter a silent curse, "Just you wait until I take the position of Peak Lord. Just see if I don't." However, he swiftly extinguished these flights of vain fancy. Think about it. Taking the position of Peak Lord meant enjoying assistance from the demon realm. which meant acquiring more Beijun as a boss, which would lead to the end result, getting thrown away by said boss as soon as he'd lived out his use. He wouldn't even get a clean death. It went without saying, not worth it. If Shang Qinghua could have done as he wished, he would have stripped off his sect robes and rolled up his bedding, rushed down Tangchung Mountain, escaped the cultivation world, and fled towards a free life as a poor commoner. If he relied on all the research he had done to write a transmutation stallion novel in his past life, such as how to create soap glass, the abacus, etc., he believed he could live freely and easily. But as soon as this sort of thoughts appeared in his head, rule violation, point deduction, so he transmitigated into his own stallion novel. Why hadn't he been assigned to the protagonist? And okay, so what if he wasn't the protagonist? What was up with this damn system? It was all that OP's fault. If he hadn't had started that fight, Shang Qinghua wouldn't have suffered the brunt of it. And then there was that peerless cucumber. Curse him. May he never get a chance to use that cucumber for the rest of his life. Oh my word. I believe he said that. Shang Qinghua moved box after box of heavy books from the ship onto the flatbed cart. As he hitched up the horse, he continued to endlessly stew over his grudges. Cultivation novels usually hand-waved inconsequential things like how goods were shipped. In the end, Shang Qinghua had only himself to blame. Damn it. Why had he written a low fantasy setting where all the hard labor had to be done by hand? He'd only managed to mess with himself. Okay, in fact, what he really wanted to say was Qingjing Peak really knows how to use people for all they're worth. Mm-hmm. And who wrote that? They were the ones who made all the trouble. If you were helping Xianshu Peak's female immortals and fairy maidens transport cosmetics, hairpins, new clothes, and whatnot, even if it was tiring, at least you felt light in your heart. Though it was hard for the body, it was sweet to the soul. But when you had to act as a porter for Qingjing Peak, what was up with that? Every time they made a purchase, it was hundreds and hundreds of kilograms of books. Then they would make Anding Peak's people huff and puff their way down the mountain to fetch them, then huff and puff their way back up to the peak. Meanwhile, they'd be living the high life. Their butts stuck to their seats and their fingers stuck to their instruments. They just sit and wait for the goods to be delivered to their door. To hell with that aloof demeanor. If you have the legs, then come down and get your stuff yourself. The other outer disciples were also complaining. It's obvious those Qingjing Peak disciples look down on ours. But time and again we have to work like beasts of burden for them. Especially that Shenjing Chue, one person said indignantly. He's way too full of himself. His nose is stuck high up into the air. So what if that Shuya has a bit of a name for itself? He's far too arrogant. Ha! He even dares provoke Baizhang Peak's head disciple Liu Qingge. How would he ever care about a nameless foot soldier like us? Given Baizhang Peak's temper, given Liu Qingge's temper, how has he not gotten himself killed yet? How could he? You'd think Ye Shishong would just stand by and watch? So long as he's around, Liu Qingge can't kill Shen Jingqie, no matter what. What I don't know is how Shen Jingqie got chosen as head disciple after starting cultivation so late, said another outer disciple who joined Tangchung Mountain at an older age, his expression sour. They say he had a good relationship with Shishong, but I've never seen him go to Chongding Peak, And even when he does see Yoshi Xiong, he keeps up that damn fake expression, all aloof and whatever. But if you said they weren't friendly, that wouldn't seem right either. Shang Jinhua kept his silence, choking down his words. Ah, how long, how I long to gossip, how I yearn to take up the backstory I outlined, but ended up killing in the cradle to toss it in your face. No one's got a clearer sense of those old affairs of years long past than this great master, your omnipotent creator. Oh my word. He definitely thinks a lot about himself, which I feel is probably fair, but still. Shrouded in resentment, the whole party mutter their grievances like a broken record, getting angrier and angrier, their envy and hatred mixing together. But who could say who they were trying to argue with? Shang Qinghua drove the cart, shoulders hunched. Whenever someone addressed him, he brushed them aside with a laugh, being very careful not to add anything. Sure, they were enthusiastically proclaiming their suffering now, but you never knew when, some day in the future, they'd covertly go and tattle on the very people who'd complained today. Oh, it's one of those peaks, is it? Running your mouth was fun in the moment, but once someone reported you and you caught the attention of the other peaks' disciples, you'd be in serious hot water. Human hearts were treacherous. You couldn't forget to guard against them. The road after rain was full of not potholes, potholes. As the wheels rolled over them, the cart pitched left and right. During one such pitch, the system sent Shenjingche a notification with a ding. Upcoming mission, be prepared. I feel like this system is even less helpful than Shenjingche's, but that might be my imagination. When Shang Jinghua heard this, his face creased like a chrysanthemum. He smiled obsequiously. I've never heard that word. System Duggar, aren't you skimping a bit much, being so brief with these messages? Couldn't you tell me what mission this is? What preparations? Prepare for what? At least give me a tip, okay? You will see, the system said vaguely. I feel like the system has had some upgrades by the time that Shen Jingque joined them. Shang Jinghua was silent. No, this esteemed one sees nothing. Then, with a crack, the flatbed cart suddenly stopped moving, seemingly stuck on something on the ground. The outer disciple Shishong, whether on the cart or following along behind, jolted along with it and fell all over the place. They were already steaming with anger, and they summarily began to smack the rails and curse with rage. You moron, can't you even drive a cart? Go already. What are you stopping for? Shang Jinhua didn't know why the cart had suddenly gotten stuck either. Puzzled, he jumped off. After a single look, his soul flew off in fright. The reason why the wheels couldn't move was because the water in the hole they were stuck in had iced over, freezing the wooden wheels solid. All around them, a formless cold in the air weighed oppressively down. Winter was cold, but Chen Jingqi's heart was even colder. Sorry, not Chen Jingqi, Shang Jinghua. Shaking uncontrollably, he lifted his gaze. A shadow draped in a black cloak slowly walked towards them, straight and tall. One could vaguely make out the figure of a youth. For once the system said a few more words. Current opponent's anger points 1,000. Mission objective survive. Oh, that is lovely. Tip complete. We wish you the best of luck. Great Master, airplane shooting towards the sky, had a bad habit. That was, he cut plot holes. Before he officially set pen to paper on future chapters, he would first plant little sprouts in his novel. Then he would watch how the winds were blowing in the comment section. Using this information, he would decide which plot lines to follow from his overall outline. For instance, the Shenqingque, who had been called a cheap villain with no justification 10,000 times, was a tragic product of plot cuts. Oh, and then there was Bingo's dad. His plots had been cut even more viciously, to the point that in the end he hadn't even appeared. The benefit of this method was that he could cater to the readers. It at least guaranteed that his subscription count wouldn't take a huge dive and crash to its death in the pool at rock bottom. The consequence was that buried foreshadowing went to waste, and there was gaps all over the ground, leaving it bumpy and full of plot holes. Any readers who had some standards or who had a bit more taste and weren't as easy to fool would rain curses on the author without restraint. Airplane shooting towards the sky had often been depressed about it too. The thing was, he actually didn't like repeatedly writing all the crazy revenge stuff either, especially when it was getting revenge on a crowd of villains with IQs lower than a bar on the ground. Once in a while he wanted to craft a three-dimensional villain, still cannon fodder but with multiple sides, to show that he had also done some basic research on human nature, that he had some literary standards too. But the readers never bought into it, so he couldn't guarantee he'd make a living. So what did human nature and literary ideals count for against readers and making a living? Back on topic. Precisely because of this bad plot cutting habit, many of the original particulars of the story had been lost, doomed to suffocate in the womb. For example, when had Mo Beijun captured Shang Qinghua? Naturally, the main text had never brought it up. The main text plot lines was just Bingo oozing badassery, slaughtering and massacring people all over the place. Who cared how that one cannon fodder became a spy? However, this world automatically filled the part that had the ethereal. Sorry. Automatically for the parts that had been cut. Therefore, Great Master Airplane had categorically lost the authorial advantage of foreknowledge. Therefore, whenever the plot began to develop, he was always a good few beats late before he caught on to what was going on. Xiong drew his sword, which, as an Unding Peak disciple, had never had the chance to be unsheathed even after 800 years, and let out a vigorous yell. What sort of evildoer dares to cross us? One after another, the disciples all became agitated, and they subsequently unsheathed their swords as well. You dare to appear in front of Tangchong Mountain sect disciples? Mo Beijun was clearly in an extraordinarily bad mood. He didn't even let the cannon fodder finish their traditional opening monologues before his knuckles cracked. A storm of icy arrows swept through the air, and heads slammed to the ground one by one. Well, that's grim. One side of Shang Qinghua's mind shrieked while the other howled. So scary, but also so cool. Really cool. But regardless of whether he was cool enough to shake the heavens and earth and to make devils and deities cry, if that guy was destined to kill Shang Qinghua in the future, he was absolutely not friend material. Suddenly, Xishong shoved his shoulder. Get down there! Shang Qinghua felt like his heart was being fried in oil and roasted over a fire, but his mind was fully sober. He stuck his hands and feet to the cart as securely as chewing gum. Get down and do what? Defeat the demon and defend the righteous way. Execute the will of the heavens. Why don't you go first? thought Shang Qinghua. After you, Shishong. Xishong flew into a rage. I told you to go, so go. What's with your nonsense? More hands and feet joined Shishong in kicking and prying Shang Qinghua off. Obviously he understood what was going on. Those outer disciples just wanted him to stall Mo Jun to give them time to escape. His mind was as clear as a mirror, and his current stance couldn't have been any more fixed. Shang Qinghua clung firmly to his base of operations and refused to move. Shishong, I don't wanna, he sobbed. Our comrades will remember how you made me go be cannon fodder at a time like this. Oh my word. He's like the exact opposite of Shen Yun. Because Shen Yun, obviously, it's not like he wasn't scared at times, but he was very decisive and actually very heroic. Um, and this is just so completely the opposite. I feel like this is more realistic, but it's just such a funny contrast. Shishong began to ramble incoherently in terror. What cannon fodder! If you can defeat this monster of the demon race, you'll definitely earn a great merit. You'll soar like the divine steed Fei Huang. This is the only way out for us altar disciples. The opportunity is right in front of your eyes at this very moment. Shang Qinghua couldn't hold on to the cart much longer. He whimpered like his organs were being ripped apart. I'm going then, I'm really going. Just as he finished speaking, he was firmly pried out of the cart and thrown to the ground. His body fallen right in front of Morbei Jun's boots, his sword still halfway in its sheath, his heart not quite decided as to whether he should draw his sword. Morbei sneered, an ice-cold glint of blue flashing through his eyes. No sooner said than done. Shang Qinghua threw himself forward to cling to his thighs with a plop. Every one of his shishong made an aggrieved face. Morbei made a blank one. Shang Qinghua fell to one knee. My king, please let me follow you for the rest of my life. Morbei tried to throw Shang Qinghua off with a kick, but to no avail. His adhesive ability was just too strong. Oh no. Morbei then tried to kill him and be done with it, but that proved to be even more difficult. Just like a gecko clinging to the wall, Shang Qinghua nimbly crawled back and forth, but managed to stay stuck firm to his thighs. Morbei couldn't help but steam with rage. Why is this so funny? Oh my word. Sorry. As the unending peak outer disciples bore witness to this incredible feat, they were overjoyed. They threw down their goods and fled. Just as Shang Qinghua was silently cursing them out, not 3 seconds later, a wave of screams came from down the road. Oh no. I don't want to find out what that is gonna reveal. I think we should just first take a break. Let me also just quickly show you the art that came with this because it is stunning and I kind of weirdly ship it even though I know I shouldn't. But just look at that. Okay, so we are currently on page 160. So I will be back for the last stretch in 10 minutes, so at 1:15. Okay, we are back. Hopefully the audio is still fine. Um, More or less just want to get back into it immediately. Okay, so again, for anyone who is following along with their physical copies as well, we ended off at the top of page 160. Dozens of eye shards as thin as silk threads had pierced their chests. In a mad dance of silver light, droplets of blood flew in all directions. Oh, that is fantastic. Not grim at all. Upon seeing this, Shang Qinghua's grip on Mo Beijun's thighs became as strong as steel. He started to chatter incessantly. My king, please accept me. I'm very useful. Mo Beijun seemed to cant his body. Oh, what use are you? I can serve tea, carry water, wash clothes, fold blankets. Wait, no. Shang Qinghua considerately gave him an analysis. You see, my king, I can serve you as an undercover agent in Tangchong Mountain, pass on intelligence, and help the demon race accomplish the magnificent feat of conquering the human realm. Mo Beijun laughed. An outer disciple and an unding peak outer disciple at that. With you as a spy, how long would it take to accomplish this feat? Don't discriminate against my peak, Shang Qinghua said awkwardly. That isn't very nice. Why does even the demon race look down on us? And the disdain for Unding Peak even surpassed that of an outer disciple. That's too much, that's really too much. As Shang Qinghua overflowed with snot and tears, clinging on for dear life, begging to pledge fealty to Mo Beijun, wholly without warning, the demon collapsed. Wait, what? Is he about to start playing nursemaid to Mo Beijun? Shang Qinghua was still hugging his thigh, and when Mo Beijun fell, he was almost squashed right under him. He hardly let go. He crouched there for a while in a daze until he suddenly came to his senses. Had Mo Beijun come here already injured? No wonder his expression had been so ugly and his temper so high, and no wonder he had been so easy to push over. Had Shang Qinghua accidentally poked one of his wounds when his hand slipped? Sometimes a slip of the hand is advantageous. Shang Qinghua cautiously moved over to examine him carefully. Just as expected, there was a thin wound the length of a finger on the back of Mo Weijun's lower waist, roughly over his right kidney. A sharp corner of something gold protruded from inside the wound. He could vaguely make out that it was a petal-shaped edge of an intricate piece of handcraft that had been forged from gold threads. So coquettish and cultured, it was Huanhua Palace's Linghua dart. All right. This weapon was one of the nonsense details Great Master Airplane had cooked up on the fly while writing. The body of the dart. Why did I read it like that? As if dart isn't an English word. Oh my word. Anyway, sorry. Um, the body of the dart was light and thin and coated with a bit of anesthetic, so it was very difficult for its target to discover the object once it reached their body. If they moved too much, the dart would magnificently blossom, growing six sharp flower petals to slice up the victim's internal organs. Oh, that is wonderfully pleasant. Yuck. Um, does this perhaps sound a bit familiar? Doesn't this device overlap with a certain demon realm organism? No problem. It's an easy enough to justify. Just explain it away by saying this Linhua dart was created by some Huanghua Palace senior who'd escaped from the demon realm by the skin of their teeth, then based this design on a strange organism called ties that bind. In short, don't make a fuss over this sort of tiny detail. Mm-hmm. Background narration complete, let's jerk ourselves back over to the main topic. That is to say, the pure blooded demonic second generation who, in the future, would very likely beat Xiang Jinhua to death with a single strike. Not only had his kidney been punctured through by Huanhua Palace, but he was also severely. I know I should know how to pronounce this. Anesthetized? I'm not sure. It seemed like Morbei Jun had killed his way out of Huanhua Palace's ambush. The demon race had their grudges for a long time, and the Morbei clan had held a long-standing animosity towards Huanhua Palace. That sect would suffer the greatest number of deaths and injuries at the ill-fated Immortal Alliance conference precisely because Morbei Jun wished to retaliate against them. This event had connected seamlessly with airplane shooting towards the skies master plan. Shang Jinhua muttered to himself back and forth, a mischievous cast to his face. He looked around on the ground for a while, before finding a stone about half the size of a skull and hefting it up. It was quite heavy. 1, 2, 3. He got in position above Morbei Jun's head, the demon's eyes still closed. I think he wants to murder him, but I don't think the system is gonna allow it. The system offered neither warning hints nor prohibiting alerts. Shang Jinhua relaxed. There was no warning, which meant, in other words, go ahead and kill him. My king, ah, my king, this is the will of the heavens, don't blame me. With a thoroughly insincere prayer, Shang Jinhua's hand rose, and the stone fell, and braked to a halt, right above the tip of Morbei Jun's arguably perfect nose. To tell the truth, this Morbei Jun character held an unusual significance to him. It could have been said that Morbei Jun was the type of man Great Master Airplane had always dreamed of becoming: strong, cool, doing as he pleased, just like how every little kid had dreams of becoming Ultraman. Oh goodness. How could he just stand by and watch himself kill Ultraman with his own hands? How indeed. Shang Jinhua bemoaned his dilemma for a while. After he finished, he had a perfectly shameless thought. It would be fine if he just didn't watch, right? So he turned his head and raised the stone up high. Nope, he still couldn't do it. Shang Jinhua chucked aside the cumbersome murder weapon with a plop. His eyes shone with excitement, and by now he was almost completely on top of Morbei Jun. Look, is it me shipping them or is it the novel? I can't tell right now. Mm, I can't. I can't. The more I look, the more I feel this face is just too damn mesmerizing. In truth, deep down, Bingo's fair and clean pretty boy type didn't really suit the tastes of Great Master Airplane flying towards the sky. He had only assigned the sort of configuration to the protagonist to meet his stallion hardware specifications. The art of growing stallions was grounded in science, and the research was clear. Women preferred men who looked cultured, pretty, and even a bit soft and feminine. Protagonists couldn't avoid getting roasted. It was fair to say that Bingo had a fan every 3 steps and a hater every 5. But Morbei Jun wasn't the same. Supporting characters inevitably attracted a lot of love, and Morbei Jun had practically never been hated on. This character had been created entirely according to the author's own tastes. Tell me how I shouldn't be shipping them, please. Cause right now he's going on about Morbejun the same way that Ching Ching Chia goes on about Bingo. Mm. And because Morbejun was secretly favored by that author, he had embodied airplane shooting towards the skies as a scholarly aesthetic for the ideal fellow man. Don't ask why Lo Binghe wasn't the embodiment of his ideal man. Lo Binghe's use had primarily been to fulfill his desires to be a badass and get revenge, as well as his desire for wonton. This section has been censored. Uh-huh. Even this young Morbejun, who hadn't yet grown into himself, was unconditionally in line with the 16 words that describe the author's true aesthetic. Eyes deep as night, nose straight and high, full of heroic spirits, icily arrogant beyond compare. This was the beautiful man of his dreams. Guys, I'm shipping it. The stony murder weapon rose and lowered and rose. For the first time in his transmigrated life, Shang Qinghua was faced with a difficult life choice. Finally, he decided, time to get a room. He would go to an inn and get a room. No, to find somewhere to stay. At present, though, he was in a field of dead bodies. Shang Qinghua hesitated, but then tipped that load of Qingjing Peak's heavy, useless nuisance right off the cart the way he'd taken out the trash. That's intense, because I'm assuming he's meaning like the bodies of his fellow sect members. Mm. He hauled Morbejun onto it, face down, so as to conceal the face that made him lose control every time he looked at it. For the time being, he couldn't return to Tangchung Mountain. No one there would realize anything was amiss too quickly. This trip was supposed to last 7 days, and only 2 had passed. To stand steadfast by this demonic younger heir and protect him while he had been weakened by a sneak attack. What a wonderful opportunity to garner some goodwill. While comforting himself with this justification, Shang Qinghua huffed and puffed as he pushed that large flatbed cart towards the city. To rent the room, Shang Qinghua spent the secret stash he had been saving these last few years. At this point, he was only an average run-of-the-mill outer disciple, and he didn't have the authority to manage account or draw from the sect coffers. Renting a room already stretched the limits of his economic ability, so as a matter of course, it was a single room. So as a matter of course, there was only one bed. Who this bed belonged to was also a matter of course. Of course it was for himself. Why am I living for this? Like, how? This is basically not even a short story, this is a miniature story. How is NXT getting me this invested in a potential side couple? And the thing is, I was already kind of like side eyeing them during the main story, but now it's just like tripled. For a while, Shang Xinhua sprawled out in the bed like a dead starfish. After he had finished stretching out his muscles and bones, he crawled up and hauled Morbejun onto it. This was this was necessary. Morbejun was already in a bad mood and quite the temper after being injured. If he awoke to find himself lying on the ground or scrunched into a chair, could Shang Xinhua expect to keep his life? There was no question that Morbejun wouldn't stop to consider the truth of the situation before rewarding him with an icicle through the chest. They had just passed by a medicine stand, and Shang Jinhua had bought a bit of such and such ointment. Although, given Demon's unusually strong vitality, he could probably just toss him into the corner and ignore him, and no matter how large a hole had been poked into him, it would gradually close. However, since Chang Hua decided to cling to those thighs, he knew he had to discard all reservations and display his sincerity. As a self-proclaimed frank and honest reprobate, Great Master airplane shooting towards the sky looked down on hypocrites who kept up their loaf pose facade despite clearly wanting to cling to people's thighs. Mm-hmm. He boldly scooped up a large lump of ointment and shoved it into the hole above Morbejun's kidney until it was more or less closed, then flipped him over, arranging his hands, palms together, in a sleeping beauty pose. After spending some time admiring this perfect face, which he had modelled after his mind's eye ideal, he pillowed his head on his arms and fell asleep on the outer edge of the bed. I'm fine. The summer night was stifling hot. Even with the window open, not a wisp of cold breeze flowed in. After tossing and turning for half the night, Shang Hua had finally managed to doze off when someone suddenly shoved him to the ground with a kick to the rear. Shang Hua was nearly scared to death. Scrambling, he fled beneath the table and turned his head in a panic. Mo Beijun sat straight up in the bed, eyes shining with a blue light like an overcharged battery about to explode. Shang Hua thought up his lines long ago. He bared his chest and stamped his feet, saying with a deep expression, "My king, you're finally awake." Mo Beijun was unmoved, looking at him coldly. "Do you remember who I am?" Mo Beijun didn't respond. Shang Hua felt not a bit of embarrassment. Delightedly entertaining the possibility of amnesia, he barreled onward. "We met on a little road just a moment ago. I said I would follow you for the rest of my life, my king, as close as—" Mobejun cut him off. "Why were you hugging me just now?" As a little padded jacket, Shang Jinhua said, "What did you say? I did what just now?" "You were hugging me." Okay. Can we have this be like a side romance, please? Please let me not be reading too much into this. A sudden realization, thunder from a clear sky. Sleeping in this damn heat was like being baked in a furnace, and Mobejun's body temperature just happened to be cold. In a muddled state of sleep, Shang-Chi subconsciously moved towards the cooler side of the bed, and the closer he got, the cooler and more comfortable he'd become. No wonder he had dreamed of a giant popsicle around which he had happily wrapped his forelimbs like an octopus as he licked and cried happy tears. Oh my word. Okay. I'm gonna need to read fanfiction of this if this doesn't actually amount to anything. Shang Jinhua carefully peeked at Mobejun's face and neck. Seeing no unusual shine of moisture upon them, he couldn't resist letting out a thankful prayer. "Your body is ice cold," he said cautiously. "I'm afraid you weren't going to make it, so I was holding you." At this, Mobejun scoffed. "Fool, this is my natural state. The colder my body is, the better my condition. I'm not a human, for whom cold means the onset of death." Shang Hua carefully measured Mo Beijun's every word and expression. Seeing him relax a bit, a smile soon spread across his face. Just when he was about to slither out from under the table like a snake crawling up a stick used to strike it, Mo Beijun suddenly recovered his ice-cold demeanor. "Go on, try moving another inch." Shang Jinhua was instantly scared stiff. He pathetically clung to the table leg, curling into a ball under the table like a hamster. "What do you want?" asked Mo Beijun. "I don't really want anything," Shang Jinhua said shamelessly. "I just want to follow you for the rest of my life." Mo Beijun acted as if he hadn't heard. "You're an undine peak, outer disciple." Shang Xinhua kept feeling that whenever anyone stressed these three words ending peak, they carried an undertone of prejudice. For fear that Mobejun would deem him useless and do away with him forthwith, he struck out his head. My king, listen to me. I'm young, so I have opportunities to rise in status. Get back. Shang Qinghua hardly retreated to safety. Okay? Satisfied with this distance, Mobejun said, the assistance you lent me, was it for opportunities to rise in status? As proud and arrogant as expected, he hadn't used save, a verb that would have implied being the weaker party in the situation, but rather assist, which implied it had been merely support. Shang Jinhua chuckled, playing dumb. If he had said no, the credibility rating of his response would be less than 3%. But if he said yes, Mo Beijing rather looked down upon such spineless reprobates. This was the reason Mo Beijun hadn't thought twice about killing the original flavor, Shang Jinhua, because he had never planned on letting him live in the first place. How could Shang Jinhua shamelessly admit that he had done it just to grind friendship XPs? Well, if you keep going at this rate, you might be grinding some other kinds of XPs instead, but that's just me. Fortunately, Mo Beijun had already come to a conclusion, and he slapped the label of greedy for life, afraid of death, slippery bootlicker sect sellout right onto Shang Jinhua. He didn't need him to respond before letting out a cold snort, and he lay down once more. I mean, he's not wrong though, is he? Oh goodness. Shang Qinghua waited for a long time, not moving another step. He had received a concession for the time being, or had Mo Beijun fainted again? In the end, Shang Jinhua didn't dare to rashly approach and remained crouching under the table, making do for the rest of the night. After struggling with himself for half the night, as soon as he woke the next morning, Shang Jinhua officially began a busy day of being ordered left and right. By noon, Shang Jinhua had worked hard without complaint, running up and down the stairs more than 20 times and changing the water in the bathtub at 7 or 8. Why so many? The water was to help Mo Beijun heal his wounds. Okay, soaking in water was the best option for this ice-powered great lord after all. But a perfectly good tub of warm water didn't last an hour before he turned it into icy slush. Shang Xinhua huddled in the corner, chewing on some rations he had with him while watching Mo Beijun undress, nursing both extreme envy towards and extreme admiration for the figure and abs he had longed for in his dreams. Mm-hmm. As he watched, he suddenly realized Mo Beijun had stopped undressing and was staring at him, an unhappy look on his face. Shang Jinhua chewed a couple of times, hurriedly swallowed a few extra bites, just in case Mo Beijun suddenly demanded he hand over his rations. You're very fishy, Mo Beijun said. Not fishy, Shang Jinhua said hurriedly. This one is sweet. He didn't have the chance to eat more than a couple of bites before a few strips of black shadow hit him full in the face. So Shang Jinhua couldn't stand around fishily anymore, as he had to go wash his newly claimed master's clothes. Oh, okay. Indeed, the young demonic heir had only brought one change of clothes, and now it was full of holes and blood and sweat. How could he wear them any longer? Obviously, they had to be sewn and mended and washed and dried. Low fantasy Xianxia worlds doggedly adhered to these kinds of unromantic, dismal, and disgusting principles of realism. I mean, you only have yourself to blame. You're the one who wrote it. Shang Jinhua swore that if he ever had the opportunity to change back into Great Master Airplane shooting towards the sky, his next book would be high fantasy Xuan Huan, of the sort where wild plot bunnies ran rampant and science was fed to the dogs. Characters would weave clouds into garments and trim the moon into a belt, and all manual labor would be resolved with the twitch of a pinky finger. There would never again be a need for dismal existences like those of Undine Peak's disciples. I kind of appreciate the fact that he's getting to experience the life of one of the sect disciples that he probably like just wrote because those kinds of characters need to exist, but he didn't think about the reality of how hard something like that would be. So I'm like, yeah, no, enjoy the suffering that you carelessly cast onto your characters. Shang Hua considerately patched the hole in Morbei Jun's clothes that had once covered his kidney, wrung them dry, and hung them in the room. He felt he had made a very good show of himself that day. So that night, with the confidence of the ignorant, he thickened his face and crawled towards the bed. But before he got close, history repeated itself and he was again kicked off. He sat on the ground, tears in his eyes, and voice trembling. My king, you won't let me on the bed? What if during the night you get cold and thirsty, hungry, or want to turn over? What then? Mobejun lifted an eyebrow, easily seen to. He ordered Shang Qinghua to find a length of cord. One end was tied to his finger, while the other was tied to Shang Qinghua's finger. It's very interesting to see the details that make appearances again in some way, shape, or form in her other novels. Is that just me? Like, it's very interesting to see where, like, a small sprout of an idea grew into a full fledged thing within the other novels. Um, in your dreams, it was tied. In your in your dreams, it was tied to his neck. Nothing more. So he's now a fully fledged dog, apparently. Shang Qinghua lay on the ground like a corpse. The hell, he thought to himself. Dogs have it better than I do. The only comforting thought he could scrounge up was that at least Morbejun wasn't some kind of pervert. The other end of the cord could have been tied to his beep. That treatment would have been truly inhumane. Shang Hua spent only 4 days suffering such hardship, but he honestly felt the days dragging by like years. Even his nights were an unceasing nightmare. On the final day, in the middle of the night, Shang Hua was sound asleep as he once again dreamed. This time he dreamed he was still in the real world, crying and weeping at a computer screen. Beside him, a fiendishly large man holding a thorny cucumber shaped like a rather hairy lower leg. He was fiercely thrashing airplane shooting towards the sky's face, and as he thrashed, he roared, "Everything you write is unhinged trash." Airplane shooting towards the sky dodged the cucumber like his life depended on it as he strove to explain himself. "It's been so long since I've updated. Cucumber bro, don't be like this." "Then hurry and update." With this, Peerless Cucumber tied a corded loop around his neck. Submerged in great suffering, Shang Hua fought to wake up, only to find the cord still tightening around his neck. Following it with his gaze, he found Morbejun lying on the bed, mechanically pulling on the cord tied to his hand. "My king, what do you require?" Shang Hua asked lifelessly. Only after asking a couple more times did he discover that Morbejun wasn't tormenting him on purpose. And so is he having a nightmare himself? He was profoundly passed out and was merely tossing and turning in extreme discomfort while unconsciously yanking on the thing in his hand to try and find relief. As the unfortunate soul around whose neck the other end of the cord was tied, Shang Hua's eyeballs were nearly squeezed out of his head under the force of the pulls. Mo Beijun creased his brow, restlessly flipping back and forth. Shang Jinhua quietly tiptoed to his bedside. When he saw the shallow beads of sweat seeping from Mo Beijun's smooth forehead and felt the faint heat radiating from his clothes, he understood. The wound on Mo Beijun's back looked just like a little cut, not anything alarming, but in truth the situation was a bit serious. It was just that he was stubbornly trying to ride it out and had refused to admit it. In addition, it went without saying that the ice demons hated hot weather more than anything. It was the height of summer, and the wound was probably becoming something similar to inflamed, or even beginning to fester. His kidney was healing so slowly. Did he need some sort of medicine to strengthen it a bit? The Morbay clan needed the cold. If they didn't have cold temperatures, they just had to make their own. Shang Jinhua muttered, "His sleeping posture is really so bad," then accepted his fate and went out. Unhindered by the annoyance he earned for knocking on doors in the middle of the night, he asked for 2 leaf fans, a basin of water, and 2 clean towels. "But you still have the thing tied around your neck. How did you manage to leave?" Taking up the leaf fan in his left hand and the other in his right, he fanned like his life depended on it. He fanned and yawned incessantly, fanning until his eyes were bleary. Half dreaming and half awake, he seemed to see Morbejun's eyes open. Icy blue pupils were bright and cold under the moonlight, like a pair of magnificent and eerie chrysoberyls. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. The scene was profoundly frightening. Shang Jinhua shuddered and opened his eyes wide to take a better look, but Mo Beijun's was clearly shut tight. When Shang Jinhua awakened, he realized there was a major problem. During the night, he had become dizzy from the heat. As he waved the leaf fans, he had managed to topple over on the bed and fallen asleep. Too close, too close. Did we just have, without Shang Jinhua's knowledge, Mo Beijun kind of being affected by the fact that someone was looking after him and maybe trusting it a little bit? Maybe? Am I hoping for too much? Probably. My eyes are tired now. Mm. Thankfully, Mo Beijun was still asleep. If he'd woken, he might have kicked Shang Jinhua's brains clear out of his head. Shang Jinhua hurriedly jumped off the bed and lay down in the corner of territory he had claimed for himself on the floor by the headboard. After a while, the bed frame began to creak lightly, and Mo Beijun finally sat up. Shang Jinhua hissed to himself. That had been too close. If he had woken up even a little later, he'd have been turned into a blood spatter on the spot. The next day, having obtained King Mobei's gracious permission, Shang Jinhua was finally able to see the light again, and he went out onto the street for a stroll. Well, actually, he had clung to Mubijin's thighs and wailed, "My king, I'm out of rations. My cultivation levels isn't so high that I can eat when I want and abstain when I don't like you can. If I don't let if you don't let me go out to buy food, I'll starve to death and my corpse will stink up your room." Sorry. But also, what a way to convince him. That's hilarious. He bought a bowl of thin congee to drink from a shop on the street corner. The congee was clear as water. When he looked down and glimpsed his own reflection, he held a chrysanthemum battered by rain, a chrysanthemum battered by rain, a trampled Mian, wan and sallow. Just as Shan Qinghua was wallowing in his wretched misery, he suddenly heard someone call him "Shadi" from behind. He turned to see some 5 young men exuding immortal auras, their sleeves and hems fluttering in the breeze as as they shouldered long swords and walked solemnly towards him. Comrades! His comrades from Tangchung Mountain sect! Right, 7 days had passed, so they had organized a group to come find him. Shang Jinghua was moved to tears. Reaching out a trembling hand, he called, Shishong! Wei Shishong! A reserved smile graced the face of the leading youth. 2 swords hung at his waist, one long, one short, and his sleeves billowed as if filled with a cool breeze. It was one Jian Peak's Wei Qing Wei. Okay? They really like the complicated names here, don't they? Or like the repetitive names that just make it hard to say. When he saw Shang Qinghua rush out to greet him, he raised a hand to meet him. To meet him, moved. Actually, what happened to you? How have you so completely transformed as to reach such a state in a few days since we last met? You don't even look human. Shang Jinghua choked down a wave of hot tears, then awkwardly said, That's probably because I'm not Exi Shong. Sure, he had become a bit skinnier, but he wasn't eating well. But what was with that don't even look human remark? Moreover, Shang Jinghua had been to Wanjiang Peak sword trials terrace at least 3 times to polish swords for Wei Shishong and his buddies, and every time they'd wanted him to sweep their rooms while he was at it, and to make them food, and also to feed their pangolins. However, could they have already forgotten his face? Can't you see I'm making a joke? Wei Qingwei asked. What, is it not funny? Oh right, Shang Shidi, why are you all alone? Where are the others? Why did you delay your return? Did something happen? Wei Shishong, you really need to work on your jokes. As for the others, this attack had been too sudden, and Shang Jinghua couldn't make up a seamless alibi on such short notice. So he just swayed a couple of times, his face deathly pale, then fell to the ground with a plop. I mean, that kind of does the trick as well, I feel. As he looked like he wouldn't hold up much longer, no one would be suspicious if he pretended to faint. While he was playing dead, he felt Wei Qingwei crouch down and poke his face a couple of times. The others said, Shishong, he fainted. What should we do? What else can we do? Wei Qingwei asked, still poking. Let's drag him back first and figure it out after. At Chongding Peak, rows and rows of dead bodies were arranged outside the main hall. Other than Shang Jinghua, every Anding Peak outer disciple who had been sent to retrieve goods that day lay in repose down to the last. Shang Jinghua knelt in front of the bodies, tears falling to the ground. There was no way around it. It was hard to get by in this cultivation world. Someone like him, with mediocre innate abilities, really couldn't make it without well-developed tear glands. If he hadn't had those, he wouldn't be able to put on this act of a sorrow so broken-hearted it stilled the tongue in front of the peak lords. He really has absolutely zero shame. It is quite astounding. After the peak lords finished questioning him, they went into the hall to discuss, the atmosphere serious and solemn. Shang Jinghua suddenly heard the twinkling of a sword tassel pendant, and a youth wearing Qingjing Peak's uniform slowly approached him. This youth had snowy fair skin, slender brows and eyes, pale lips, and a somewhat harsh appearance. His black hair was neatly tied behind his head with a light green ribbon, and a sword was held in his arms. It was precisely that inauspicious star, the heartless Gaul, that certain eccentric fellow from Qingjing Peak, proud immortal demon ways scum villain par excellence of the next generation, Shen Qingque. I'm curious because I think this is going to be Shen Jingqie before he became Shen Yun. Once Shen Jingqie finished examining the bodies, he asked carelessly, "Did that demon ask you to bring back some message or perhaps some object?" Shang Jinghua stared, shocked that Shen Jingqie had actually chosen to grace him with, with unsolicited words. No? Shen Jingqie had a habit of raising his chin, so he was often looking down his nose at others. Every time they spoke, Shang Jinghua felt like Shen Jingqie was sneering at him. Granted, the sneering didn't really matter. He was pretty used to it. "Then that's strange," Shen Jingqie said, his expression like a smile, yet not. "All the others died. If you don't have some message to bring us, why would you, of all people, be the only survivor?" Shang Jinghua blinked his eyes, tears once again streaming down his face. This, that is, this time Shen Jingque smiled for real. "Shang Shidi, exactly how did you escape unscathed to return to Chang?" Sorry, this time Shen Jingque smiled for real. "Shang Shidi, exactly how did you escape unscathed to return to Tangchong Mountain?" Shang Jinghua absolutely could not afford to give a careless response to this question. The Shinjingqu of this world functioned in accordance with his original settings. He wasn't like those low IQ paper thin cannon fodder villains, and he was under no circumstances easy to deceive. If Shang Jinghua blew his cover and got reported, his clandestine second career would be over before it even began. So he played dumb and laughed awkwardly for 30 seconds. Suddenly, the light bulb in his head lit up and he instantly began stammering, "This is. It might be because." Because he hadn't for a second hesitated to kneel. Because he'd yelled, "My king," with volume and sincerity. Because he'd brazenly abandoned all dignity. Chen Qingque waited patiently, and for his troubles received a fit of gut-wrenching coughs from his target. Shang Jinghua coughed until tears poured from his eyes. Chen Qingque backed up a step, a shade of disgust on his face. "Everyone has a weakness. Just you see who I'll summon to deal with you." Sure enough, after 5 seconds of this, Yu Qingyan's voice came from behind them. "Qingqie Shidi, in the first place, the behavior of the demon race has no logic to speak of, and moreover, Shang Shidi only just managed to escape a terrible catastrophe. Even if there are questions to ask, why not wait until he recovers a bit? And he appears. The god-tier summon, do-gooder and future sect leader Ye Qingyan enters the battlefield." Shang Jingqie silently began to count. Shen Jingqie raised his head. "Fine, fine. Since you find my words so unpleasant to hear, I won't say any more of them. Yu Shishong, as you please." One hit. Our Shidi from Anding Peak descended the mountain to help handle affairs for Qingjing Peak. "Why must Shidi be so reluctant to grant him a bit of sympathy?" asked Yu Qingyan. Shang Shidi, why is your coughing growing worse? Do you need me to call Qian Tao Peak's Mu Shidi to take a look at you?" Two hits. Shang Jinghua shook his head at Ye Qingyan, shedding tears of gratitude. He continued to count. Shen Jingqie sneered. "The 12 peaks all oversee their own duties, and each has their own expertise. Anding Peak is supposed to do this sort of thing in the first place. Why must Yushi Shong speak like they've been wronged in some way, as if Anding Peak is the only one with things to do in Tangchong Mountain? Besides, don't tell me Shishong believes they really do work hard without complaints. You think they don't curse us out behind our backs every day?" 3 hits. Whew. Yu Qingyan's expression was unerringly patient from beginning to end. He was just about to respond when Shen Jingqie cut him off. "Stop. Thank you for your instruction, Yu Shishong. Qingque will continue to listen in the future. I'm going. 4 hits. Combo. Shang Qingque, Shang Qinghua, that's my bad, knew in his bones that if these two struck up a conversation, they would inevitably part on bad terms by the 5th exchange. After Shen Qingque walked away, carrying Shiya, Ye Qingyan finally turned around. Shang Shidi, you've suffered a scare. No, Shang Jinhua said hurriedly. Compared to the exhaustion and exploitation he'd suffered these past few days, a little scare was nothing at all. But all things had a silver lining. After this incident, perhaps because the old Anding Peak Lord wanted to console Shang Jinhua or whatever, he was promoted to an official inner disciple. I did wonder, considering how early Shen Qingque was part of this world, he had managed to work his way into being the sect is it sect leader? But like their leader, considering the fact that he doesn't seem highly motivated. But I'm kind of getting the sense that he just stumbled his way into it in this scenario. Shang Jinhua sang happily the whole way, returning to the large common dormitory to pick up his things before arriving at Anding Peak's highest level dormitory, the leisure house, to report for duty. Okay, just see where we're at. Okay, there is still quite um a lot of chapters left before we sorry, not chapters, pages left before we even at a break, so I'm gonna stop it here for tonight. We are at the top of page 180, so I will see you guys again tomorrow, same time for the last live read along until I'm back from holiday. If all goes well, again, I will be putting up 2 pre-filmed ones. They might only be an hour each. I'll see how much time I have. But yeah, I hope you guys will still enjoy them, and otherwise I'll see you guys tomorrow. 再见。